east of downtown, between around Broad and Main Streets. We're a small community, smaller than less than a square mile for Central Eastmore, and it's made up of about 1,200 homes. In our history, we recently celebrated our centennial. So originally we were founded in 1923 around a polo club. And so the former polo field now serves kind of as a green space that a lot of our community events are held in. Looking forward, Eastmore finds itself surrounded by a lot of development and citywide initiatives that are about to happen. From Link Us Main Street Corridor, the Main Street Special Improvement District, and the zone-in changes impacting both Main Street and Broad Streets. These efforts aim to bring smart growth and strengthen the connection between the residents and the greater city of Columbus. And speaking of connections, about a year ago, I had the pleasure and honor to sit down with a few remarkable women leaders on the east side. So I was meeting with Laurel Talibert, Quay Barnes, and Sharon Parsons. And we were having dinner together at one of their homes. That night, for me, wasn't just about the meal that we shared, it was about building bridges, kind of restoring some bridges from the past, and then really realizing together that we shared much the same vision for a stronger, more unified East Side. And so I'm pleased to say that those connections have already started to bear fruit. In January, our community overwhelmingly voted to join the Mideast Area Commission. Woo-hoo. No small feat, but and then sorry, I just lost my place here. It's all right. It's okay if you're calling out. And and then in February we were voted in by the commission. So this decision allows us to join forces with 15 other civic associations, making us all stronger in our shared mission to serve our neighborhoods and the East Side. Our commitment to connection extends beyond the civic groups, though, as well. We've also forged a really meaningful relationship with Fairmore Elementary, which is an elementary school just outside our borders, but we have grown to just fall in love with this school and their leadership. What started as a simple conversation with their leaders about how can we help, what can we do to support you and your school, has really blossomed into something much deeper. And so we have, starting last summer, we did school supply drives. We have sponsored a number of events for the parents and their children. And we also just recently did a staff appreciation lunch for their whole team. And we're also volunteering at some of their events at this point as well. So it's really exciting just to see that partnership grow. It's such a wonderful thing that's emerging. And then earlier this year, too, our very dynamic councilwoman shared an insightful message, and I was so energized by what she was saying, immediately asked her to come attend one of our meetings. And it reminded me that every neighborhood, regardless of the size, has an important role in the transformation of Columbus. And whilst Eastmore is a very small community, we are proud to play our part. And we're excited to continue discovering new opportunities and new partnerships in the future. So, for me, the message to you really today, what I'm trying to get across is simple, to make room at your table or pull up a chair at someone else's. And because there's so many bridges that need to be built and partnerships to be made in our community. In this time of significant city growth and change, it's more important than ever that we share our time, energy, and resources. And by doing so, we align ourselves with the greater good of Columbus, ensuring that growth we experience benefits all of us, and not just individually, but citywide. Together, we're not just shaping our own neighborhoods, we're shaping the bright future of our beloved city, Columbus. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nadia Jean-Jacques. I am a proud Haitian-American immigrant. My nerves is getting the best of me, bear with me. And I just came from Washington, actually, about 2 hours ago. And for the Refugee Council USA Advocacy Days, I get to meet some senators, Congress representatives, and about the immigrant here living in Columbus, Ohio. The organization I'm affiliated with is ACONET, as you guys can see. So I am the social service director. It stands for Haitian Community Network. And let me tell you the best part of this evening. In November of 2021, Lourdes Barroso de Padilla made history by becoming the first Latina to be elected as a member of the Columbus City Council. She chairs, yes, one more time, come on. She chairs the Public Service and Transportation Committee and is the vice chair of the Economic Development and Small Business Committee. Outside of her work at Council, Barroso de Padilla has an extensive background in youth development and leadership, spending the last 3 decades working to improve the lives of kids through education with her work at City Year. One more applaud. I personally get to work with the Councilwoman as a member of the Commission on Immigrant and Refugee Affairs, a dedicated platform for immigrant voices to directly influence city policies and decisions, which her office spearheaded the creation of. With that said, please help me welcome Councilwoman Lourdes Barroso de Padillas.
Well, good evening, everybody. If we have not had the pleasure, I'm Councilmember Lourdes Barroso de Padilla. Woo! And I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. I know that last night we also had an area commission recruitment event at Barnett that I saw some of you at. So thank you for not giving me just one night, but 2 nights. I want to tell you a little bit about myself, and then we're going to talk a little bit about tonight and what folks can expect out of this evening, and then we're going to jump into it. So I am the daughter of immigrants. My parents are from Cuba. They came to this country in 1970 and almost directly came to Columbus and very directly came to the east side of Columbus. I always like to say I'm east side till I die. Mike is actually also my neighbor. So actually, yeah. Live in Eastmore now. I grew up 6 houses down from Eastmore High School. I went to Fairmore Elementary School, went to Eastmore Middle School. I got bused to Fair Avenue for 2 years, which is right down the street by Franklin Park. And then I graduated from Eastmore High School. And I was a Columbus kid through and through, went to Barnett Rec Center, grew up in this area actually, because this is about as far east as my family went to shop at Eastland Mall. Then when Bryce Road was developed, we went a little further down to Bryce Road. But and then when we went further, we went to downtown to go to church. But that was like my entire existence was this portion of the city. And when I joined City Year as a young person, I did 2 years of service, and I actually worked on the south side. And that was a little bit of foreshadowing because I was a boomeranger. I left Columbus. I lived on the East Coast for a little while. I came back, and we lived on the south side of Columbus in Marion Village for 11 years. And then I moved back to my neighborhood. So I actually live in Central Eastmore now, 4 minutes away from my mom, my mom's house, in the house that I grew up in, that my family still owns. And so I have the distinct honor of being the one council member, I love all my council members, but that was born and raised in her district. And so when I think of, and I think most of you know, we moved into this district model so that we could ensure that we had representation, right? For a long time, folks felt like, well, we all know that being proximate to people and problems and neighborhoods changes how you view the world, changes how you view each other, right? And so this district model ensured that people had representation, that you had someone who lived at least in your area, right, that was close to experiencing the things that you're experiencing every day. And I can say, as someone who started in community-based work when I was 17 years old, no one knows your neighborhood better than you do. Right? You drive those streets every day, you experience them all the time. I always joke around that being an East Sider and living in my neighborhood, whenever rain came, you knew your basement was about to flood, right? Like there are certain things that you just inherently know, right? I know the traffic on James Road. I remember being a kid and trying to ride my bike across and like saying a little prayer. I remember riding my bike to Livermore Pool, which doesn't exist anymore, or when my sister moved into an apartment over by Berwick, cutting through Berwick from my house and then being too tired to ride my bike back, right? Like there are just things that you inherently know about your community because you live there. And so that was the thought behind the district model, was that people could say, I understand someone who understands me and who understands my neighborhood. Now, I want to tell you a couple things about District 8 because we're a very unique district. We are the largest district in terms of land size, the largest. So if you think of District 8, and I'm going to show you a map real quick. So these are all of the districts, and I'm sorry, this picture is a little bit fuzzy, but you can see, look at District 8, that's that light blue, right? This is what District 8 looks like. So we essentially start at the border of Bexley. We have that little cutout, which is where I grew up in between Bexley and Whitehall. We go down to about New Bixby. We go all the way down here. This is actually Lockbourne. And so we go back up through Driving Park and then back up through Bexley, right? So each district has the same amount of people. 101,000 residents live in each and every single one of these districts. But as you can see, our district is so large because of the uniqueness. So it's basically the southeast portion of the city. And especially when you go down here, down south, a lot of this used to be manufacturing, right? A lot of it used to be Buckeye Steel used to be there. It was one of my dad's first jobs when he came to this country. He was a steel worker at Buckeye Steel. And so when that went away, right, the density down here looks very different than if you look at the density of, District 1, which you see how small it looks, or District 2, or other districts where, like Clintonville, where the homes are closer and there's more people living together. We're a very unique district. So this is a little bit more of what the district looks like. Because the district is so large, and I wanted to do some engagement, in my mind, I feel like trying to bring people from Berwick and Southfield together to have a conversation, those are two very different conversations, right? So what we tried to do, and if we really split the district up, I could have had like 5 of these. So we tried to make it a little simpler. We said, let's have an East Side conversation. And then next week, we're actually going to do the same model that we're doing tonight, but with the South Side. And the idea and the reason that we called it What's Next, right, is because we wanted to start the conversation from talking about what are the good things that are coming to the district. We have lots of exciting things happening in District 8. We have the redevelopment of Eastham Mall. We have Linkus Corridor on Main Street. We have a new library at Barnett. Like, there's lots of good things coming. Actually, just Monday, we legislated this bridge that's happening right here. And those sidewalks, if you came along Kimberly Parkway, we legislated those just a couple years ago. So there's lots of good things that are coming to the district, but what happens is that folks don't know about it, right? The work that's happening on James Road right now, who lives close to James Road or travels on James Road, right? You've seen a lot of the construction that's literally right around the corner from my house. I see it every day. Yep, at Broad and James. That project, right? Part of that project was a utilities project that was helping some of our sewer systems so our basements don't flood, but it's also a safety project to make it safer and that intersection of Broad and James safer, right? It's a little bit of a nuisance now. But I had a meeting I went to a couple different community meetings, and folks were like, I didn't even know what was happening at James. Or the construction that was happening down Broad Street, that was actually happening on the Whitehall side. But some folks didn't even understand where the Whitehall side was, or that wasn't our project, right? And so I was thinking, how do we have a better conversation with the community to talk about the things that are going to impact them, right? The good things that are going to impact them. And then how do we use that as a springboard to then say, how do we partner on some things together? So there could be a roadway project coming in your neighborhood or something that you want to see in the roadway project, but because you didn't know it was coming, you couldn't give input to it, right? But now, if you know it's coming, you can have a conversation with public service to say, is there something we can add to this? You know, part of this project that's going to happen right here is there's going to be a shared path. So that means we're widening the sidewalk. You see that these sidewalks are pretty narrow, so that if you have a stroller, a mobility device, a bike, and someone's walking, there's enough room for both of you on that path, right? We're doing it at lots of other places along the city. If you think about the bike lanes down Broad Street, if you're going towards downtown, we closed off those lanes, not just to provide safety for the bikers, but it narrows the street so people drive safer. If you look at Livingston Avenue, we did a road diet on Livingston Avenue. We did that as a safety project because going from 2 lanes to 1, people naturally have to go slower because there's a car in front of you, there's obstacles in front of you, right? So when we start to talk about these projects, we want to really partner with the community to have a conversation. And that's really what tonight is about, talking about what's up next and then how can you get involved in what's up next. I wanted to share just some quick details about the district. So here you can see just what the demographic breakdown is. And hold on, I need to get a quick sip of water. So what I find interesting about this is that as we talk about the changing demographics of Columbus, the number one factor behind our population growth is immigrants, migrants, and refugees. You heard Nadia talk about the commission that we put in place. We know that folks are driving the same prosperity that brought many folks to Columbus and that many folks have been waiting on in Columbus in our neighborhoods is the same thing that continues to bring people to Columbus, that continues to make this a place that they choose to live and work and raise their families. And so I think it's interesting when you look at our district, when you start to see the Latino, Asian, and even the Black population, because a lot of that also includes the African diaspora. So if you think about this area of the city, it is definitely changing. I mean, I think I saw a stat the other day, and don't quote me on this, but it's somewhere around these numbers. Whitehall City Schools is about 40% Latino right now. And they border our district, right? And so some of that also, we're seeing that growth in different parts of the east side and certainly different parts of the south side. And so that affects, the prosperity of everyone, of any one of us lies in the prosperity of all of us, right? So making sure that things are accessible to folks, to every single one of our community members means that all boats rise. The other thing that I thought was also interesting is that if you look at the median income of our district, and remember this is the whole district, it's about $60,000. That's how much folks are making on average. And when you look at home ownership, it's about 70%. Now, remember, this is about an average. What that tells us is that we're really talking about legacy communities. We're talking about folks who have been in their homes more than 10 years. So there's a lot of folks who are aging in place. There's a lot of folks, who, like my mom, who had lived in her house, raised her kids there, and that's the place where she grew. My mom just passed away in February, but this is the place where she aged in place. And we want to ensure that folks have the opportunity to do that. With all of the growth that is coming, with all of the prosperity is coming, with Linkus, with Eastland, we don't want to displace folks. We want to ensure that you can live wherever you want to live in the city of Columbus, that the driving factors aren't cost, but really that you're choosing to live there because that's where your family lives. That's where you grew up. That's where your people are. That's where your village is, right? You're choosing this area of the city. And when I think about the east side and the south side, I think about people that have been there for a really long time, that have been working on their communities. When I look at this room, I see a lot of folks that have been working to make our communities stronger and better for a really long time. And so these are just quick facts about the district that I thought might be interesting for folks to see. So let's talk about a little bit about what folks are going to hear about tonight. So you're going to hear 3 presentations. You're going to hear from our Department of Public Service and Transportation. You're going to hear from Rec and Parks, and you're going to hear from Neighborhoods, who they're going to give us a very specific update on Eastland Mall, because I know that some of you were really involved in the Eastland plan. Some of you might have been involved early on, but are not sure where things are at. So they're going to share with you what's new, what's exciting, what's coming up. After those presentations, you then will go to 2 breakouts. So think about the places where you really want to have a conversation. You want to learn more about the Eastland Plan. You want to learn more about some of the public service and some of the things that are coming. You want to learn more about rec and parks and what's happening in the district. So you're going to have the opportunity to go to 2, and then after that, we're all going to come back together. So one thing we're going to ask just to move us along, because we could spend a lot of time on any one of these subjects, is on every table, you're going to see note cards like this. So as folks, you might see something that public service says or that Rec and Park says or whoever, you're going to write down your questions on here. And what we're going to do is we're going to collect those questions. And when you go to those breakouts, the leader of the breakout will then share just topically, hey, here's some of the things that I saw. Here's some of the questions that folks asked. And then we have a small enough group here that those conversations can really be intimate. And that was really the purpose of today, right? We didn't want to make it so that we're staying in a room here and 5 people get to ask a question and you don't get to get your question in or get some clarity on the things that you really care about. So that's how tonight will go. I also want to shout out all of our partners who are here. Folks did not get an opportunity. CODA is here today. We have our utilities department who is here today, who is actually signing folks up for some different programs. So you should definitely stop over there if you're interested. We have our new Commission on Immigrant and Refugee Affairs who's here, Legal Aid, and then 311. And I want to thank them all for being here because all of them are also offering additional services or supportive services. And these are some of the things that we heard from the community. When I get a lot of questions, there's some questions that these folks can certainly answer. These are the things that people think about every day. So with that, I want to introduce first of all, thank you all for being here. Thank you for the conversation that you're going to have tonight. Thank you for the work that all of you do. I know there's a lot of area commissioners here. I'm going to go ahead and move us into our presentation. So from our Department of Public Service, I am excited to introduce my buddy, our buddy. If you don't follow him on social media, you should. Charles Newman, to talk a little bit about what's up next.
Awesome. Thank you, council member. Are we evening yet? Okay, almost. Good evening, everybody. Again, my name is Charles Newman, and I have the honor of serving you, all the residents of Columbus, as the Assistant Director of Engagement in the Department of Public Service. Just to give you an idea of public service, we are the only other department in the city of Columbus that touches every resident every week outside of police and fire. So your refuse collection, trash, parking and mobility, design and construction, infrastructure management, which is your potholes, streets, traffic management, which is traffic lights. All of those fall under our work that we do. So alrighty, so what I'm going to do is just kind of give us an update about where we are. I'm going to skip this one. We know, my eyes are bad, so I'm going to go over here to this screen. We know the area that we're in, but just to kind of give you an idea of this District 8 as a whole is 37.5 miles of high injury network, 33.7 communities of interest. And I say that because when we talk about the work that we do at public service when it comes to resources, those two things, we look at our high injury network, those are going to be the places that we're focusing on to make sure that we are reducing fatalities on our roadways. If you look at the makeup of it, it's 75% residential, 25% non-residential. Currently at the present state, 52% sidewalks are present and 48% of the district have no sidewalks. And so I give that because as we move forward, we want to talk about where we are, what we currently do in this district in regards to service. So we have 407 roadways, centerline miles, 102 signalized intersections, 6,634 ADA ramps, 414 curve miles, 15,728 street signs, 2,164 pavement markings, 45 fiber miles, 27 bridges just in this district, 325 sidewalk miles, and 388 pavement striping miles. And I point those numbers because I like to give people an idea of just how much work we have right here just in this district. Won't go into it. Shout out to our people in 311, but if you look at this district, and folks always ask, what are the number one 311s in this district right now? The number one 311 is pickup of dead animals. So we handle that. So thank you all for calling us. Also, collection from street trash debris along the right-of-way, potholes on city streets is the third, conditions of street, and then the traffic signal operations and maintenance issues. When you talk about our snow routes in this district, we have made some updates. So 293 miles within District 8 have been updated to Priority 3. Priority 1 is 228. Priority 2 is 202. And so I talk about that because when we think about how snow operations affects you all, these are the Priority 1 are going to be those streets that we hit first. These are your main roadways that we working on to make sure people can get to schools, hospitals, and major places of employment. Priority 2 are going to be the collector roads. These are the roadways that get you to one of those main roads. And so I like to show people that to kind of see where you all fit within our snow plan, how we're responding to. And then that last one, the 293 miles, are all of your roadways within your neighborhoods to get you there. Currently, right now, when we look at the asset conditions in District 8, roadway pavement, this is what we are looking at. And so a couple of months ago, we got another one coming up soon. Council approves our resurfacing. And so when people ask, how does my street get on their list and how do we choose? What we do is that we do a assessment of all the roads. So currently right now in District 8, 35% of the roads, let's start with excellent. 14% of the roads are excellent. 35% are good. 36% are fair. 12% are poor. 3% are very poor. And so what that means is that 3% of your roadways, we are strategically working to get them into the next resurfacing package. And so a lot of people ask, like, why not my street? It's probably because we want to make sure, and what very poor for us means is that within the next 2 to 3 years, that roadway is not going to be in a condition that is safe for you all. So we're still 3. It's not that that's where it is right now. Very poor is not like don't jump on it, don't drive on it. It means that we need to be more intentional in getting those roads. When you look at the bridges, I told you we had a lot of bridges, 27 bridges. 96% of those bridges are in what we call good state. Pavement is at 85% currently. Sidewalks are at 54%. Curbs are at 48%. Ramps 83 and markings at 96. Important. Thank all of you all for your support of Link Us. The reason I show these numbers, when you look at sidewalks and curbs with Link Us and that additional income that we are receiving, we're able to push those numbers higher. So when we do our resurfacing and different sidewalks, we'll be able to get that number over the 50% and then tackle that other 40+% of sidewalks that we still need to get in this community, in this area. Along with that, the curbs. I talk about curbs and sidewalks because our process is when we install sidewalks or repair sidewalks, we evaluate the curbs at that time also, and if curbs needs to be repaired, that's how we do it. Those are also in conjunction with resurfacing. So right now, these are the DPS projects and investments. I'll talk about District 8, and then I'm going to go specifically to the east side projects that we have. So currently, we have 12 projects currently in planning for District 8, 20 projects currently in design, and 21 projects currently in construction. And so when you look at that number, 20, about a little bit, almost $29 million in total investment from the Department of Public Service just in District 8. So looking at this side of the district, projects in construction, we talked about the Broad Street and James Road intersection improvements. That's expected completion in the end of 2025. We have a pedestrian safety project right up the street with the Courtright sidewalks on Refugee Road and Groves Road that expected to be completed in the fall of 2025. And then right here, as Councilmember talked about, the bridge rehabilitation of Kimberly Parkway over Mason Run. That construction will start this summer, expected completion in the fall of 2025. And so we have also projects in design. These are projects that we're not putting shovel in the ground yet, but we're in the phase of designing them, what they're going to look like. The Barnett Road sidewalks, as Astor Avenue to Main Street, estimated to start in the summer of 2026. Livingston Avenue improvements, Alum Creek Trail to James Road, that is estimated to start in early 2029. This is a hooray for me because this is a Link Us TSI project. So one of those projects that we were able to add in because of Link Us. Livingston Avenue, 18th Street to Nelson Road, construction is estimated to start in 2026. And then we have crosswalk safety improvements phase 1, estimated construction to start in spring of 2026. And so I know it's kind of hard to see the capital investment by category, but as you can see, resurfacing is the largest capital investment that we have in District 8, followed by street rehabilitation. Also want to talk about, when we talk about those projects really quick, Vision Zero, and this is our philosophy. Put fundamental change in approach to traffic safety to end fatal, serious injury traffic crashes. We are working to make sure that our roadways are safe. And so all over the city, we are implementing our Vision Zero philosophy. And so basically what we're looking at is that traffic deaths traffic deaths, serious injuries are preventable, not inevitable. So basically, we know that we can prevent those. So not only is it with education and teaching folks how to not use their cell phone and things like that, there are some infrastructure that we are putting throughout the city. We've been blessed to get money from the federal government where we are implement. So when you look at communities, like when you see that stop sign right here, the high vis one that says somebody's walking, stop ahead, or a crosswalk is ahead, or the flashing lights, those are the kind of things that we're incorporating, looking at our crosswalk placement across communities to make sure that all of our roadways are safe for the most vulnerable users. And so when we look at it, it's a change in our system on how we think in public service. We're working to create a safe system, accommodate human error rather than expecting perfect behavior, meaning that we know that drivers, we know that walkers, riders of our bikes and things like that are going to make mistakes. So what kind of infrastructure can we build to aid them? So when you look at protected bike lanes, when you look at those high-res signs, when you look at the flashing yellow that kind of shows people in the push button, we're doing that. But it's also about collaborative community-wide change. So safer roads come from public service, post-crash care from public safety. We work with our partners in police and fire when accidents happen. How do we get that data? And then safer people, we're working with public health to meet those things. And then last but not least, each and every one of you in this room today to be ambassadors for what we're doing. And so when we talk about that, the data helps us identify who is most impacted by crashes, where we have high-risk locations, and which interventions will mostly be effective. And so I say that because when you're asking, how do we go about putting a stop sign in your community? How do we look at crosswalks? We're using data, attacking the most dangerous and vulnerable roadways and intersections in our city called the High Injury Network, and we've collaborated with all of those to tackle those down so that way we can eventually get to our goal, and which is 0 fatalities. And so it's equitable access for everyone. That's our goal at Vision Zero. I invite you to join us at columbus.gov/Vision Zero to learn more, but also we'll be here to answer any questions in more detail of the great work we do at public service. Under 10 minutes.
Thank you, Charles. I also invite someone, if you are a social media user, to follow along with Public Services Instagram, and I think on Facebook too, right, Charles? Because my buddy Charles also does a lot of like learner videos, so partners with a lot of folks. If you see new things, so how do you use a share use path? How do you use, if we have bike lockers or other things across the city? So I invite folks to check that out. Next up from Rec and Parks, we have Alex Gray. There you are, Alex.
Thank you, Councilman. Good evening, everyone. My name is Alex Gray, and I work within the Department of Recreation and Parks. My title is the Outreach Coordinator. So what I do is, one of the big parts of the jobs is going out to events, doing presentations for people, spreading awareness about our programming and everything that's going on. So it is the beginning of June. Summer is in full swing after kind of the weird week of weather we had last week, right? with being a little bit colder, rainy, but summer's in full swing. So we're ready to go at Rec and Parks. Obviously, it's our busy season. So what I wanted to talk to you all tonight about is really the presentation that I have. It's kind of two main parts. So the first part is to talk about things that are going on within Rec and Parks in this season that are upcoming or maybe ongoing all the time. And then at the end, talk a little bit about capital projects specifically in this district and specifically on kind of the eastern part of it. All right. The other thing that I'll say with this is I'm sure that a lot of questions will probably come up. Everybody's situation is a little bit different, right? When they're looking to get involved in programming or, get plugged into a community center or, they've got questions about different parks or things going on near where they live. So definitely come join for the breakout session after, and we'll be happy to talk to you a little bit more about your questions. All right. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. So I'm not sure how well you can see this. Yeah, I might look over here too, actually. I think it's a little bit easier. But what this is this is a map of District 8. So it's a little bit busy, but what this has on it is all of our facilities in the sense of parks and then also our community centers. So in District 8, there are 46 parks. We actually have, I think it's 422 parks and counting. That's always a fun trivia question. It's always way more than what people think, that we have 422 parks across the whole city. But again, 46 specifically within District 8. And then community centers, we've got Barrick, Marion Franklin, Scioto Southland. Those are in kind of the south part of the district. But of course, the two that are closest to where we are Barnett Community Center and then also the Far East Community Center. Some of the things that are going on at each of those community centers. So again, the two that are closest to us, so Barnett and the Far East. So these are kind of the major components within each community center. You can see them listed here. So the fitness center, we have fitness centers at not all 29 of our community centers, but most of them. But you can see on here all of the ones within this district where fitness centers are. So if you maybe don't know what the fitness centers, what those are is that might be a cardio room. It might be a chance where you can go and lift weights, so a weight room, or it might have both. So it just kind of depends. But people ask all the time, they're like, hey, do those cost money to get into? And they do. The way that works, the price breakdown for that is it's $60 for the entire year. Or you can also pay to use the fitness center by session. So we do everything by seasons at Recreation Parks. So we've got the fall, winter, spring, and the summer. And so it's $15 per session, not session, per season, or session also as it's called. Or the third way that you can get access to the fitness centers is you can actually just pay per day, and it's $1 per day. So 3 different ways to use the fitness centers. Again, we've got one at the Far East Community Center, and then not one at Barnett, but there are some other ones there if you maybe find yourself in that part of the district. Pools, I'm sure a lot of you use those, maybe have kids or no kids that use the pools all the time. So one of the big things with the pools this year is pools are actually going to be cashless. So definitely keep that in mind. The ways to take care of that are, number one, you can pay with a credit card at the pool. Another way is you can use like tap to pay, like on your phone. Or a third way that you can do that is you can actually preload your leisure card with admissions to the pool. And then that way when you show up at the pool, you just scan your leisure card and then an admission is deducted from your leisure card. Now, if by chance you maybe don't know what a leisure card is, essentially what that is it's a basic kind of screening process. So everybody that is ages 3 and up, you need to have a leisure card. And the way that you get those is you go to our community center or to any community center, and they'll ask like, hey, what's your name, address, basic information like that. And it just kind of gives us an idea of kind of who's going in and out of our facilities, in and out of our pools. So again, to kind of recap that, for the pools, you need a leisure card to get in, and then pools are cashless. You can do credit card, you can do tap to pay, or you can preload your leisure card with admissions. And then the other kind of last note on that is it's per entry. So like if somebody goes into the pool, they pay the $1, and then if they leave and then come back, then they would pay another $1. all right? So that's pools, and then the spray grounds. So those, if maybe you don't know what those are, that's just water coming up, right? A fun thing for kids to run through. They love that. So you can see that Barnett has a spray ground. Or what was that? Sorry. Or what was? Oh, at Barnett? That is a good question. At this moment, yeah, at this moment, I don't know in particular, but at the breakout session, or maybe if you want to write it down on one of the cards, I'm definitely happy to follow up on that and ask our capital and strategic planning team. All right. Let's dive into some more things that are going on at the community centers. So all of the community centers have all sorts of classes and activities. Everybody asks, like, hey, like at a particular community center, what are the classes? And because there's so many, it's literally impossible to know every single class that's going on at every single community center. So for that, I would always encourage you to just check the website, check the schedule at the community center, just to see all the things that are going on. Also, there's seasonal and all sorts of events going on at community centers. So a lot of them have like Halloween parties where there's plenty of candy for kids, you know, kids can dress up, all of these things. A lot of them have holiday parties as well. So around like Thanksgiving, Christmas time, kind of around that late fall into the winter season. There are holiday parties as well with gifts for kids. There'll also be like holiday meals. So all sorts of stuff going on all year. Another program that's maybe a little bit less well known, but still a really good one, it's called Schools Out. So what this is, it's basically where community centers that have extended hours for school breaks during the year. So you can see Schools Out is during the fall, the winter, and the spring. So the fall for Thanksgiving break, the winter for the holiday break or the Christmas break, maybe if you celebrate that, and then also for spring break. Summer camps, so I'm sure that some of you have kids or know kids that are involved in that, but you can see the community centers that all have summer camps. Summer camps this year running from June 9th to August 1st. After-school rec clubs, of course, those are during the school year. Really, really neat program. So those are free. All you have to do is register for them and have a way to get your kid there, whether you transport them or whether it's close enough to walk. But there isn't transportation that's provided right now for those programs, but the after-school rec clubs are really, really neat. They take place from about 3:30 to 6. Kids come in, they have some food, they get a chance to run around, run some energy off, and then they get homework help. And then there's also some sort of enrichment kind of section or component to each evening. So they might learn about how to be a good steward of the environment or about gardening or all sorts of different things. Late night basketball, so that's going on at a few of the community centers in the district. So I think in particular, I was just looking at this the other day. I think at the Far East Community Center, late night basketball happens on Mondays, but it's from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then there are different time slots for each age. So I think from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. it's ages 12 to 15, and then 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. it's 16 to 18, and then 10 to 11 p.m. is ages 19 to 30. Mobile produce markets, some of you might know about those. So those are at the community centers that are listed here. Those start at 2 p.m. Those are on Thursdays and Fridays. Again, just check out our website for the days that those are specifically. But they start at 2 o'clock, and then they go either until 4 o'clock or until we run out of food. So I always tell people, make sure that if you are looking to grab some produce for the week, make sure that you show up as close to 2 o'clock as you can. And then the last one is Walk with a Doc. So that is intended for folks that are our 50-plus friends. And so that's an opportunity to get out, get some exercise, meet some people, and that program happens on Saturday mornings. Okay, a couple other quick things right here. So again, 46 parks within the district, and then all sorts of adult and youth sports leagues at each of the community centers. Special events, want to highlight those just for a second. So we host a series of festivals every year. They're called Cap City Festivals. And there are two that are close by that are this summer. Actually, we just had one in Driving Park last week, I think it was. And then we'll have another Cap City Festival. That's at Barrett Community Center on August 8th. And then another Cap City Festival on August 23rd at NAFSCR Park. I know that's not technically in this district. It's in District 9, but it's very close to here. So definitely check that out if you're available. And then the two big ones that we highlight every summer are Jazz and Rib Fest in July, and then also Seabus Soul Fest. That's going to be 2 days this year. It's normally just 1 day, but we're expanding to 2 days this year, August 15th and 16th. Okay? All right, just want to talk for just a little bit about some capital projects that are upcoming. So you can see all of them listed here. We've got the refinishing the gym floor at the Barnett Community Center. That right now is in the construction procurement phase. So what that means is taking a look at contractors, sourcing raw materials, all of that. So that's in the very early stages, but it is going to happen. The big Walnut Shelter House patio expansions. So this is where we're going to do a new wraparound patio from the back to the front. East Haven Playground replacement. That is in the design phase right now, hoping to finish that in the next month or two. The Three Creeks Wetland Restoration, not to be confused with Three Creeks Metro Park. I know I did that a lot, but that's going to be happening here soon as well. Somebody might need to help me out with the pronunciation here, but is it Helsel Park? Helsel? Okay. So that park, the redevelopment is going to be happening here soon. You can see the different components of that, including increasing the tree canopy in the Eastland area, and then also the redevelopment of the Williams Creek Park playground. So that's going to begin this summer. Then a couple of other ones that have to do with the Big Walnut Trail. So one of them is doing a section that goes from NAFSCR Park to East Main Street. This is a 3.5-mile section. This will connect neighborhoods, schools, and then also all of that to the Far East Community Center. And then also a second section of the Big Walnut Trail, which will be from Winchester Pike to NAFSCR Park, and that section is 2.5 miles. So a lot of good projects that are upcoming. The last thing that I'll say is with capital projects in particular, if you have more questions, I have some knowledge, but I don't ultimately work in that section. So I'll try to answer your question, but if I can't, I'm definitely happy to take it and send it along. And then my email address is on there should you have any questions, but definitely come see me in the breakout session. All right? Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Who talked about the pool on the east side? Who asked a question about the pool? Because we were just talking about that. I think we should have further conversations about exploring a pool over on the east side. So for our last presentation, before we go into our breakouts, please welcome from the Department of Neighborhoods, Noelle Britt, to give us an update on the Eastland Plan.
Good evening, good evening. For those who I have not had the pleasure of meeting, I have seen a lot of familiar faces in the audience, so great to see you all again, and hello to those who are joining us and who I have not met. So as council member mentioned, I have the privilege of serving our city in the Department of Neighborhoods as your Eastland Neighborhood Program Specialist, which means I live and breathe the Eastland Plan. And I have been given the challenge to sum this up in 5 minutes, so I'm going to work really hard to click, so if you see some paraphrasing, it's fine. The whole 280-page document is on the eastlandcommunityplan.com website. Eastland for everyone. Oh, look at me. Eastland for everyone. Now that we are branded, that is the website. So we've got hot cards. I'll link you there. We're going to dive in, go real quick. This is a fancy clicker, by the way. Okay, so what is a community plan if you are not familiar? So essentially, it is a guiding document, right? It acts as a roadmap that will kind of guide and help make decisions and funding decisions on the growth and change of the area, right? But really, truly grounded and centered in community voice. And so this is the plan area, just for context. So our borders are essentially 70 Bryce Road, Refugee, and then 33 in Winchester Pike. 6 square miles. I'd like to point out that the mall is a very small section within this plan, so it is much bigger and broader than the mall. Very comprehensive. We know that this corridor, the Hamilton Road corridor, is very important, but the mall is just one piece of this particular plan. And as far as update-wise, it is very much still, the city attorney's office has the most relevant information, but it is a complicated case with multiple owners. The portion that is owned by the primary owner, who owns the largest chunk, that is what is currently being demolished. But the hope and goal in the future is to bring something wonderful and more beautiful to the site. So that is as much of an update as I have on that. But happy to answer questions in our breakout. We had a lot of folks engaged. Can you just raise your hand for me if you were involved at any point? Survey, event, yes, clap for yourselves, clap for these folks. Thank you, thank you. So those are the voices that you will see reflected throughout the document. This just sums up our timeline. We started in August of 2023, launched the plan earlier this March officially. Not going to read all that, just highlighting some key phrases where we want this to continue to be a community where folks have, I don't know what happened to the line in the middle, equitable access, high quality of living, be able to continue to call this community home, as council member mentioned, wanting folks to be able, who want to live in the neighborhood, to be able to do that as things grow and change. And then also continue that strong sense of community. So where do we land? We've got this beautiful color wheel of 8 big ideas. And so I am just going to very, very quickly highlight what they are, what the objectives are, and then wrap us up. Again, if you have questions, holla at me after we are finished. So how we organize our plan, we've got a big idea, right? So those are the things that you saw on the wheel. And then within each of those big ideas, we have multiple objectives, right? So what are these more specific targets and goals underneath those big ideas? And then even under those objectives, we have action items, right? So what are the specific things that we need to do? How can we move the needle and see progress happen to support that objective and ultimately support that big idea? And then we have early wins, so those are projects, a few that will be highlighted. Rec and Parks already talked about a few of those, so I will not have to cover all of those. But early wins, projects that are committed to happening, funding is there, things are happening. And then catalytic opportunities, what are those transformative projects that have the potential to continue to make our community better? So housing, this focuses on creating and shaping a community of defined equitable neighborhoods. So what we focus on in objectives here is preserving and maintaining that existing housing stock. So quality, affordability, expanding those options for current and future residents, but also creating more opportunities for folks to rent and own in the area. I told you I'm going to be quick. Retail, small business, and entrepreneurship. So how do we continue to support but also attract new businesses in all shapes and sizes, as well as retail and services? And so what that means, these are pretty straightforward. The action items are a lot more specific, but what does it look like to continue to support the businesses that are here? We have a lot of great businesses and business owners in this community. And so how do we continue to connect them with resources, connect them with funding, help them get into better buildings, whatever that looks like, whatever their needs are, while also attracting new businesses and then expanding or better connecting folks to entrepreneurship supports. Youth and education, just creating more opportunities for positive youth development and truly supporting our students and youth to be successful in whatever they choose to do after school, but also during their schooling process as well. So continuing to support and strengthen our K through 12 schools. We have 13, soon to be 14 schools in our plan area. 3 are Columbus City schools, 10, soon to be 11 are charter schools. Continuing to invest in youth-focused programs and services, but also create spaces where they can be, congregate, learn, grow, and develop. And then community well-being and services, so this centers all around our health and wellness, right? What are we doing to improve those outcomes, to better connect folks to resources and services? So our objectives here focus on food access and increasing the availability to fresh and healthier foods, improving access to various services, wellness programs, education resources. Safety is a big thing that we heard, so prioritizing improving community safety, and then continuing to increase and build that trust between the city and our Eastland neighbors. And one of the early wins that I want to highlight is the Eastland Prosperity Center. So I'm sure many of you already know, but Mid-Ohio Food Collective, they have already technically moved into the Kroger site on Refugee Road. And so not only will it be a food hub, but it will be a social service hub. And they announced whenever the 23rd was, before Memorial Day weekend, it's all a blur. I think it was 2 weeks ago at this point that OSU and their Total Healthcare Center will be the medical partner in that facility. And so they will be offering a variety of services, but there will be other services additionally as well that will be housed within that particular site. So we're very excited about having them here, and they have been great partners in the plan. Jobs and opportunity. So what does it look like to continue to support folks and to prosper in whatever those things that they are doing? And so how do we better connect folks to jobs, not only in the neighborhood, but wherever that is, right? And then offering tools to improve their financial outlook, so financial literacy and resources in that area. And then diversifying what employment opportunities are available in this community as well. And an early win here is Columbus State. They are also creating and building a new career development center on Refugee, which we are super excited about. And it will be construction trades and first responders, which that sounds like maybe just a couple of major, but there's a whole long list of different programs that will be housed within that facility. So we are also very excited to have them on Refugee Road. We're kind of calling them the two bookends. So we'll have Columbus State and then Mid-Ohio on the other side. And then mobility and access, we're almost there. Moving folks around the community safely, whether you walk, whether you bike, whether you drive, whatever that looks like. So how are we investing in modern and safe infrastructure for all of the various modes of transportation and getting around? And so I won't spend a whole lot of time here because Rec and Parks already highlighted the Walnut Trail improvements and some of our park improvements that'll show up as well. So if you have more questions, feel free to just reach out to them, but they have been incredible partners too in this work, and we look forward to the beautification of those spaces and increasing access as well. Community identity and pride, again, beautifying and enhancing that physical appearance is something that we heard a lot throughout the process. So how do we create that unique sense of identity? Emphasize beautification throughout the community, but also create these gateways where you know that you have entered Eastland, right? What does it look like to physically create these spaces in the community? So again, you know when you're driving in that you are there. And then lastly, I believe, we've got community gathering. So bringing folks together, strengthening that sense of just belonging and ties to each other. And so that involves enhancing some of our park and recreational facilities, but also creating opportunities for folks to just come together and be and coexist at all ages and stages of life. And so again, you can holler at Rec and Parks if you want more details about the new Mason Run Park that will be built behind the mall site, as well as Helsel Park. So these are just the, I think, most recent public renderings, but again, happy to answer any questions that you have, as well as Rec and Parks. And then what's next? We've got a community survey. I have the QR code and it's on the website, so we're just collecting additional feedback. A lot of you in this room, I believe, have already done it. But if you haven't, know that it will be open until the middle of July. We've got fun stuff coming up, 2 Rise Up Sea Buses. So if you're not familiar with those, they're essentially a wonderful gathering of community and city resources, as well as food and music and just fun. And so ours in this particular area will be on Thursday, July 10th from 5 to 7 at Navsker Park. If you were an organization or an entity and you're interested in tabling, please reach out to me as well, as we would love to have you. And then on August 28th from 4:30 to 7:30 will be the Rise Up Sea Bus at Fairmore. So we've got hot cards for those as well, but we would love to see you there. And then our website, eastlandforeveryone.com, everything and more is there. My contact information is there, all sorts of things. So just feel free to check it out, and we will be available in the breakout session to answer any questions that you have. Thank you. And breathe. Thank you.
I could think of no one better to live and breathe Eastland than Noelle Britt. Okay, so a couple things. On your tables, there is a survey. If you can fill it out, because that gives us good feedback on, did this meet your needs? Did this meet expectations? Just so good. We want to continue to have these conversations, and so that really helps us understand if we're hitting the mark. So the other thing I want to ensure that folks know, because our applications are going to be open very soon, on our resource table outside of all of the council resources, we have a program called 614 Beautiful. 614 Beautiful, you can get up to $20,000 for a community-based project to beautify a space. So if you want to build a pocket park, a learning mural, if you want to install art in a particular area of the city, if you want to activate the street, there's all kinds of projects that could fall under 614 Beautiful. The little postcards look like this. Also, my aide is in the back. She's actually outside the doors. She has glasses. Her name is Jessica. So if you have any questions about the 614 Beautiful project or program, let her know. You can also, there's also a QR code and a website, but the applications for that will be opening up very, very soon. So if you have that great idea, you can apply for a 614 Beautiful grant. So from here, we're going to go into our breakouts. I I misspoke. We are not going to come back together. So after your second breakout, you can feel free to leave. If you want to go to just one of the breakouts because you're super interested in learning something and you want to get home to dinner or enjoy the beautiful day, that's fine too. But we will have 2 breakouts. We'll let folks know when we're rotating to the second conversation. So in this space is going to be neighborhoods. So if you're interested in learning more about the Eastland Plan, you're going to stay here. This first space right here is public service with my buddy, our buddy Charles. So you can go see Charles in that space. And then right next door there is going to be Rec and Park. So if you want to learn more about the trails, you want to talk pools, you want to talk other things, head over there. I will also be mingling around. If folks want to come say hi, please do. And after that, I hope you all have a great evening. Please drive safely, and I will see you all very, very soon. I'll come over. So you'll be in each breakout 14 minutes? 20 minutes. There you go. Thank y'all.